Hello everybody, I'm Nectarius, and today I decided to do something different of change. So recent times, the Pokemon community has seen a rise in a new form of content that I like to call, can you beat a Pokemon game with these specific rules? Now, these type of content looks fun to make, so I decided to do one myself, but the question was, what? What should I do as a challenge? Then I realized that this one specific Pokemon challenge, which are the most popular category of these videos. And that got me thinking, instead of going for one specific Pokemon, how about I get to use any Pokemon, but I can only use one in my party at a time. So welcome to Can I Beat Pokemon Emerald with only one Pokemon in my party at a time. Before we begin, I'll hand over the ground rules. Number 1, I'm allowed to catch any Pokemon. However, if I want to battle with it, I'll have to box everything else. So let's just say I catch a Tailo, and I have my starter. I have to box my starter, and then I can use Tailo. So I only have one Pokemon in my party. Number 2, HM slaves are allowed on the party, but I can't use them in fight. Unless, number 3, in forced double battle, for example, Tate and Liza, I'm allowed to use one of the HM slaves along with the Pokemon of my choice. However, the HM slave is not allowed to attack the enemies, it can only attack me, and I'll have to kill it with my Pokemon. Number 4, no cheating or exploits. However, speed-ups are fine because it doesn't change too much of the game. And finally, number 5, items in battle are not allowed. However, held items and items outside of battle are allowed. This is to kind of make it a bit more difficult. With that out of the way, let's begin. I get introduced to this weird world by a professor with a wooden name, and get to name ourselves Necky, because Nectarius wouldn't fit, and get thrown into a moving van by our mother who doesn't love us. Wow! Anyways, after we arrive at our new pointless house that we're not gonna stay here too far, we introduce ourselves to the neighbor girl who we all had a wet dream about, May. In her Pokeballs, I decided to go outside because social interaction between me and May will be pointless. And while going back to my house, we hear a crazy guy screaming while a blue monkey is watching. The crazy guy, however, turns out to be the professor, and he tells us to pick a starter, and to save him from a level 2 doggo. Which, dude, you use your foot. You're thick enough to do damage for it. Anyways, I get to pick my starter, and I decide to go with Mudkip. I went with Mudkip because of some reasons, because of its lack of weaknesses, and the other 2 starters typings are on other Pokemon that I wanted to use. So we kicked the doggo's butt and went back to Professor Morningwood's lab for him to tell us to keep Mudkip and give it a name. I went with the name Vibes because he's a chill dude. After giving Vibes his legal name, Morningwood tells us to find his daughter and return her home. So we do so. And he gives us a Pokedex for it, which I'll never be even looking at in the first place. And May gives us her Pokeballs. Hold up. So we move forward to our father's gym, where he tells us to get 4 badges or else he won't talk to me, and proceeds to talk to a stranger and tells me to help this wall guy catch a Pokemon. So out of anger we move on and go into Petalburg Woods, and there we find a Shroomish, who we catch and call Legal Weed. And I decided to box Vibes for it because, yeah, to train legal. Anyways, while training legal, we found a guy being attacked by another weird guy who says he's a part of this fandom called Team Aqua. Legal took care of him pretty easily, and we're moving on, okay. After traveling a bit, we make it to Rustboro City and travel to Route 116 after healing. And we decided to catch an Incada and name it Cena. I boxed it along with Legal and added Vibes back, so I'm ready to fight Roxanne. Roxanne starts the fight using a Geodude. Vibes, however, outspeeds the Geodude on the first turn, landing a water gun, one-hit killing it. And she decides that's not enough of Geodudes, and she sends out another one, which I also one-hit KO. Then comes out her Nosepass, who takes a little bit more time. After a while, I managed to take it out with 3 water guns, which wins me the stone badge. After our gym battle, I decided to train Cena a bit, and then I stumbled across another one of these Aqua guys, who I bodied with my bug type. Ha, loser. Anyways, I evolved vibes and made it to Dewford off camera because I forgot to click record and OBS. I'm an idiot, I know. Then I proceeded to catch a Makuhita, which I named Fat Fu. Then I also caught an Aaron, which I also named The Rock. Anyways, I make it to Steven Stone, talk to him, and he gives me a TM for Steelwing that I'm never gonna use. And then I backtrack to Rustboro to get the experience share. Sure, I can't use more than one Pokemon in my party at a time. However, having the experience share in battle on a Pokemon that you're currently using will boost their experience. So with the experience boost in hand, I went to Slateport, then Route 110 to train Cena up to level 20. And you might be asking, why would I train an Ikata? Well, the simple answer is Shedinja. Shedinja has the ability Wonder Guard, which makes it so only super effective moves can hit Shedinja. And in Emerald, besides Meditite with Reflect and Light Screen, all of Brawly's Pokemon know fighting type moves, which Ghost is immune to. So with this Shedinja on my party, I challenged a Dewford Town gym leader, Brawly. Most of the battle was Shedinja spamming Fury Cutter, while Brawly couldn't even attack me. So nothing of interest to talk about, but we did get the Knuckle Badge, so we're moving on. After we arrive at Slateport again, and find Team Aqua raiding a museum that we still have to pay to get into, we're forced into battling 2 of the Grunts, who weren't much of a challenge. They were actually a bit of a pushover. After the battle, the leader of Team Aqua came and talked to me about the ocean and left. How pathetic. After that, I decided to train up vibes to level 22 to prepare myself for the next gym, and then I realized what I had to face above me. Route 110's May. Now, normally these rival fights aren't that much of something to be scared about. However, Route 110's May is notorious for being one of the hardest this early in the game, especially her Emerald team. After looking at her team a while, I realized I had to train Aaron, the Rock, up to level 22. And for me saying that, you might scream, why Aaron? Well, looking at May's team, you might see Aaron is weak to most, if not all of her Pokemon. However, the fact that we have such a defensive Pokemon with a decent moveset like Mud Slap and Headbutt this early really made me realize how much Aaron could be useful. I also taught Aaron the Rock Tomb TM that Roxanne gave us for Wingull. The strategy was to knock a Yawn by Slugma or Supersonic by Wingull and keep as much of my health until Grovyle. After failing my first attempt, I challenged her my second attempt, and this is how that went. May started with Wingull, and the Rock got sent out. Wingull gets the first move, which is Supersonic. However, we didn't hit ourselves in confusion and landed a Rock Tomb, which Wingull got one-hit KO'd by. Then she sent out Slugma, and I lost my confusion and used Mud Slap, which did 1/3 of damage on Slugma, which it yawned, so yeah. Luckily it didn't attack me much during the next few turns, besides a Ember, which took 1/5 of my health. Then I woke up and I knocked it out with more Mud Slaps. Our final Pokemon is Grovyle, and I take it out with 2 headbutts, winning me the fight. After that, I decided to train up Legal, so he evolved into Breloom, just so using him in the future would be easier. Then I make it to Mauville and meet this kid who claims to know me. However, I've never seen him in my life, and I proceed to wreck him. And then we move on to the gym to face Watson. And now you'll see why I picked Mudkip. He starts with a Voltorb, and I pick Vibes for the gym. He outspeeds me and uses Rolla, which does nothing, and I proceeds to one-hit kill him with a Mud Shot. Then he sends out an Electrike, and I set up Mud Spore to weaken electric type moves, which looking back was pointless, but then I used Mud Shot to one-hit KO him. You know, I'm gonna say KO when my foe gets one-hit KO from now on. Then Watson sends out a Magneton who uses Supersonic, which makes me hit myself twice, allowing Magma to get some good hits in. However, on the third turn, I KO Magneton without any more issues. Last is Manectric, who I get a bit below half health with a Mud Shot, which was healed by the Manectric Citrus Berry. But Manectric hits me first the next turn with a quick attack, leaving me at red health. However, the next Mud Shot makes him use a potion twice, and after the second time, I finished the Manectric with one last Mud Bomb, winning me the Dynamo badge. After leaving Mauville and having to reset a bit later in the game, and losing a bit of progress because I couldn't use my HM Slave in battle, I make it to Meteor Fall to meet the new team called Team Magma, and them basically saying that they're going to burn the land up and go to the local volcano to do so. So I go over there to beat their leader easily, not before catching a Swablu and naming it Cotton Eye Joe, because I have two questions: where did it come from, where did it go? Cotton Eye Joe. Anyways, and then I made it to Loveridge Town to fight Flannery with my level 34 Marshtomp. Before going into the gym battle, Vibes evolved into a Swampert and I wrecked the entire gym. So she started off with Numel and I sent out Vibe, KO'd her Numel with one water gun. Then she sent out Slugma, then Camerupt, which both got KO'd by water gun. Then she sent out Torkoal, which survived one hit with water gun. Then she tried to use Attract on me, which that's not gonna work on this powerful Vibes. And then next turn I took out with another water gun, winning me the Heat badge. After that is the Petalburg gym. I'm not prepared for this, and that's why I decided to train Fatfu, because he's bulky and he's defensive. So I trained him from level 9 to level 25, which took me around 30 minutes with speed ups. And at that level, I decided to challenge Norman. However, I failed quite a lot. So I decided to train him up to level 30, where I challenged Norman once again and failed twice before pulling it off on my third attempt. And here's how that went. Norman started off with a Spinda and I used Fat Fu. My goal is to not get confused and knock out the Spinda as fast as possible. So I did that with hitting Arm Thrust 3 times, KOing it without any problems. Next is Vigoroth, who did quite a amount of damage with Slash. However, my Vital Throw KO'd it immediately. Next up was Linoon, who Facaded, which did a bit of damage. However, I Vital Throwed him again to take him out without any more problems. Last up was his Slacking, who I had to plan out for. So during his attacking turns, I used Knockoff because that did minimum damage and also removes his Citrus Berry. And so his counter doesn't do that much. During the rounds where Truant is active, I used Vital to do quite a amount of damage. Which, during my first Vital Throw turn, I was lucky and got a critical hit, taking him out in basically a hit, winning me the Balance badge. After obtaining Surf from a kind stranger and trying to train Cotton Eye Joe for Winona, which, spoiler alert, was pointless because I decided to use Vibes out of losing so much money by training Cotton Eye Joe. I went to New Mauville to help Watson turn on the generator and I caught a Magnemite who became a HM slave later on. Then I traveled to Route 119 and went to the Weather Institution where I met Team Aqua again, who hadn't learned their lesson yet, so I used Legal and took them out pretty easy. After taking down Team Aqua and obtaining Atom Nut, I boxed Legal and Atom and got Vibes back out because there was a PC in the institution, and met May, who wanted to fight, which was a cakewalk. After a while of wasting training, I got Vibes and challenged Winona. But before that, I had to get the TM for Ice Beam, which was at an abandoned ship, making Vibes an unstoppable beast. Winona got swept by Vibes, almost 1-hit KOing every one of her Pokemon besides Skarmory, who took 2 hits to take down. However, I won the fight, getting me the Feather Badge. Anyways, after that, we traveled to Mount Pyre and go up to find Team Aqua and their leader trying to steal the legendary orb. However, they're colorblind and picked the wrong color, leaving us to chase them down. But first, we have to go to Mount Chimney again to find a random hideout that belongs to Team Magma and have to beat their leader. However, they activate their legendary with the wrong orb and we have to stop it. However, now we have to stop Team Aqua at the deep floor cavern. But it's too late, they activated the other legendary with the wrong orb.
So much drama. Anyways, let's just do Liza first. So, for this fight, I had to use 2 Pokemon. So I chose Vibe and a HM Slave Slack Off. I started the fight with Earthquake, fully knowing Xatu and Claydol are immune to ground type attacks. This was just to knock out the HM Slave. So, now the real fight began. I spam Surf to get some decent damage on them, and they do some decent damage back. However, I knock out Claydol, making them send out Solrock, who along with Natu got destroyed by my Surf next round, leaving them just with Lunatone, which I easily took down, giving me the Mind Badge. Anyways, back to the Color War. We met Steven Stone at the Space Observatory. Oh, by the way, we met Steven Stone early in the game. Me and him are homies now. So I have to do a 3 Pokemon max battle against the Team Magma leader and his grunts, and Steven will be my partner. And I can only bring 1 Pokemon if I want to, so I bring Vibes, because he's the only one on my party. The battle was pretty easy, however, Steven's mid-tank almost died, so yeah. We make it to Sootopolis to watch a complete one-sided battle like, Groudon, bro, you have no chance. And we meet Steven and Wallace, who wants me to go to Sky Pillar to get Rayquaza to tell them to shut up. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say that I got the Master Ball back in Lily Cove. Just to let you know, anyways. We get Rayquaza, he comes down to tell the boys to shut up or get smacked up, and they leave after that. But before challenging the water gym, I decided to return to Sky Pillar, and after literal hours of me raging and actually crying at one point to get to the top and get a chance to fight Rayquaza, I did it. And here's how that went. Never again. So we make it back to Sootopolis to challenge the water leader, Juan, who I swept with Vibes. The only one I didn't KO was his Wish Cache, and that wasn't really hard to deal with. And that should prove how broken Vibes was during this entire playthrough. He swept an entire water gym without any problems. And we got the rain badge for it. Yeah. After that, we made it to Evergrande City, and we're about to enter Victory Road. Wallace was a pushover. Anyways, we got through Victory Road and made it to the Pokemon League. And you might be wondering, who am I going to run the league with? Well, it's Rayquaza. And here's the moveset that I've planned for the league. Without any more issues, let's begin. Sydney was quite easy. I mainly spammed Aerial Ace and Mox took down all of his Pokemon pretty easy without too much difficulty. We won and we're moving on. Phoebe was also relatively easy. Besides her second Dusclops, who hit me hard with an Ice Beam, I almost lost my first attempt, but I pulled it off and I won the battle and I'm moving on. Glacia was the hardest Elite Four member. Not just because she was an ice trainer, which my Rayquaza is weak to, but I had nothing to face her Glalie with. I had Thunderbolt for Celio and Walrein, but for Glalie, I had nothing. Looking back, I should have taught Rayquaza Fire Blast instead of Toxic, because I had 2 of those TMs in my party, because I was planning on giving one of them to Cotton Eye Joe for the Winona battle when I was still going to use him. Anyways, somehow I managed to pull it off on the second attempt without being attacked. And yeah, Drake took me 2 attempts as well. And my strategy was just to spam Outrage and not to hit myself with Confusion. Also, fun fact, the same time I actually won the match against Drake, I didn't even get hit as well. Similar to the Glacia situation. Wow, either I'm incredibly lucky, or it's just a big coincidence. I guess. Anyways, we're moving on into Wallace. Wallace started out with a Wailord, who I took out with 1 Thunderbolt. Tentacle was also taken out with another Thunderbolt. Same case with Milotic, then Gyarados. Ludicolo was taken out with 2 Airlesses, then came his Wish Cache, who I took out with 2 outrages, winning me the match, and confirming that you can beat Pokemon Emerald with 1 Pokemon in your party at a time. So there we go, we finished the game. This was something fun to do, I gotta say. So you might be asking, will I do the Steven Stone fight? Well, I don't think I will. I'm done with this game, and I want to focus on other stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
Let's go!